So without any further ado, we'll get Travis Barrett with Evolution Athletics in here. We'll do a 6-minute presentation with 20-minute question and answer. So Travis, kick it off, buddy.
All right. Cool. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you guys for having me this morning. So we're based out of Lawrence, Kansas, and we're a sports performance business, and I'll give you guys a brief rundown. I'll do my best to keep it 6 minutes and go from there. So we're a human performance business. We basically work with athletes and local law enforcement. We're trying to get in with fire department as well, but basically trying to develop athletes both mentally and physically. So current clients are, our youngest athlete is 10, our oldest athlete is 24, and he's a professional athlete. So I'll introduce our team. Tyler Naylor is co-owner along with myself. Cody is our head assistant. Randall is our head speed and agility coach. So Randall runs speed camps. He's also leading the law enforcement strength training program right now. I hate the picture on the left, but he has not sent me another picture yet. But that's Tim. He is our sports medicine consultant. So I'll run through our process here in just a moment about what we do exactly and how we do it. But basically, Tim is someone that we can bring in if we can't figure out what's going on with an athlete. And then there's myself, and also we have Nick, who is a physical therapy consultant. So basically, if we can't troubleshoot and figure out, what's going on with an athlete, why are they in pain, what kind of issues are they having, we'll bring in Tim or Nick and have them do a further evaluation on our athletes. So basically, how we began was Tyler and I are both personal trainers. Tyler had formed a business called Alpha Sport Performance, and he had ran that for about 6-7 years, and he approached me in early 17 and was like, hey, I want to start a sports performance business and bring you on. You want to join up ASP? I said, well, it's going to be a little bit confusing because there's a couple other places in town that have the name Alpha. So let's close down ASP and start and rebrand with Evolution Athletics is what we landed on. So we've essentially been in business for 7 or 8 years, but officially is Evolution Athletics a year and a half. So target market is athletes and law enforcement, fire department, first responders basically. So we just got a contract with the Lawrence Police Department, which is huge for us because they have a massive social media following, and hopefully that leads to more speaking engagements, presentations with law enforcement around the country. Economics and figures, I wasn't sure if this was appropriate to spout off or not, but basically our revenue, what we're going to bring in for this year will be about $75,000, and after everything's all paid, we'll bring in about $25,000. So our average client spends $169 with us per month, and one thing about our space is we're incredibly lean, so we got a phenomenal lease rate. We pay less than $1 per square foot, so we have 1,600 square feet. So other than that, our expenses are extremely low. We just have insurance, lease, and then paying myself and Tyler and 2 employees. So overall, very, very lean. We haven't spent much on advertising yet. Social media and bootstrapping and all that kind of thing is basically how we've built up our current clientele. So right now we have, and that number is actually inaccurate. We don't have 50 athletes, we have 62. We counted that up yesterday. So we have 62 athletes that come in on a regular basis that are coming through our doors at least 2 times per week. Short-term goal is we're continuing to grow. I see us in the growth stage right now, 1 to 3 years. We want to get to at least 150 athletes that we're serving within the region. Long-term goal is second location, which is primarily why I am here today. Just scouting potential second locations, also polishing up my speaking ability and presenting on stage, getting real comfortable with that. So those are our 2 primary goals. Our main challenge right now is basically educating athletes, parents, and coaches within the area about what is appropriate training, what is not appropriate training. Because there are a lot of coaches locally who simply run the gym because they used to be an old football coach, as opposed to a scientifically based program. So basically, we're just going to continue doing things the right way, educating everyone, teaching them why we're different, how we're different, and what we do. So all we're going to keep doing is continuing to acquire area athletes, slowly pulling our way. and then just become the obvious choice within the region. I mean, that's really all we're looking to do. So the best thing you guys can do for us is come up, talk, introduce yourself, look at us on social media, give us a follow, ask questions, and let me know any potential areas that you have to offer some advice. And I'll show you guys a couple things on Instagram about what it looks like. How am I doing? Like, is that close to 6 minutes?
Yeah, you're doing good.
All right. So just to show you guys what our space looks like and some of the athletes we work with. So this kid just got an offer. He's accepted it. Full scholarship to the University of Nebraska. He's a left-handed pitcher. So in the past year, his fastballs went from 84 miles an hour to 90 miles an hour. So if you're a left-handed pitcher and you're throwing 90, you're a special kid. So easy. So that's our space, and that's like 405 right there. And then another professional pitcher that we have coming to us, this guy's in the Philadelphia Phillies organization right now. He's home for a short amount of time, so he's coming in to train with us. And I'll show you another girl here. So I need to turn this volume down because it gets kind of loud. All right. So this girl is a softball player, and here's 280 for 4 reps. And you know, it's fun to see females beginning to get in the weight room and think it's cool, and they're beginning to get scholarship looks. So that is huge for us. We have probably more females than males in our weight room right now. So it's kind of killing the myth of, you know, women shouldn't lift or shouldn't lift heavy or whatever. So and there's more videos on here, but basically our process when athletes come in to see us, the first thing we do is we do an assessment. We bring in someone like Tim or Nick or myself, and then we look at how the athlete moves, and basically based on that movement screen, we can identify dysfunctional movement patterns, asymmetries they have, and not if they're going to get injured, but when, if they don't correct these things. So that's one thing we do that's much different than other facilities in town. So we've had several athletes who come in for 8, 10, 12 weeks, and I'll show you this kid. So this is a local kid, Jax Deneen. His brothers play for KU, and Jax has been recruited all over the place. But when he came to us, he was already super strong. It wasn't a matter of like making him stronger. It was a matter of like he's coming off a broken ankle, he's in pain, he doesn't feel good. So we just spent a lot of time with flexibility, mobility, stretching, things that he had not been doing, things that other strength coaches had not been implementing with him. And he's probably coming off the best season he's had. And here's an example. So basically what happened in a matter of 10 weeks was his vertical increase by about 4 inches. So the reason for that is he's not in pain, he's not in discomfort, so he can actually perform and play his sport. So here's 600 for 3, and this guy's just an animal. And he's probably one of our strongest athletes to come through. But it's just an example of, you know, the reason he can do that, he was already deadlifting like 500 pounds, but the reason he got up to 6 is because he just doesn't hurt. So that's one thing we do a lot different than other places. So our assessment is very thorough. We're scientifically based. We're not just throwing up a workout of the day or anything like that. Here's another guy who's a professional pitcher. He just got drafted in the 9th round by the New York Mets in 2016. So he pitched at Mizzou. He touches 100 on occasion, but when he first came in, like the description says, 7 to 8 years ago, he didn't really know how to move. He just grew so much, so fast, that he just kind of looked like a new baby deer trying to learn where its legs are, you know. So he's one of the strongest athletes I've ever seen in person, because when he was at Mizzou, he would front squat like 425, he would deadlift like 650. So again, strength was already there, but how much stronger does he really need to be to throw a ball? I mean, the main thing is keeping him healthy and getting him to move through complete ranges of motion and feel good so he can pitch well and play well. But anyway, those are just a couple videos of what our athletes do, look at our facility, and kind of goes over the principles of what we have. But what questions can I answer for you guys? What? Yes?
So what kind of things do you have the 10-year-old doing?
So it's actually, everybody's going to do the same base movement patterns. Squatting, deadlifting, pushing, pulling, carries, pushing a sled, things like that. So it's not that he's doing anything different than him. He doesn't need to do any more of that, Matt, Bryce. But our 10-year-old is learning how to deadlift like a kettlebell that's like this big. So then gradually over time, progressive overload is our second core principle. So gradually over time, that kettlebell will become a bigger kettlebell. But right now, we're just trying to teach him good movement patterns so that he knows what we're talking about when we say, get your chest up, get your hips down, things like that. So,
is that the youngest age?
Yeah. Yeah, and we're kind of surprised, but the parents were like, no, we want to get him involved, and okay. So we have him use a PVC pipe for a lot of things, which is essentially weightless, and practice certain movement patterns. A lot of it is unstructured play when children are coming in at that age. So it's movement, play around. I don't know if I showed it or not, but basically we have a lane of about 20 yards. So we'll have him do a lot of things like, hey, race your buddy who's 11. How about you two chase after this ball? You know, and just things like that. Get them out of their comfort zone a little bit, and then we'll teach them how to deadlift and squat and things like that. So, yeah, what other questions you guys have? Yes?
So most of the athletes that you showed were mainly baseball, softball. What other sports do y'all have?
Yeah, so we just had, last week we had 8 volleyball girls sign up. So that was huge because one of the club coaches sent out an email and like, thank you, club coach, please please send out more emails. But we have volleyball, softball, track and field, swimmer. We have a handful of swimmers. One basketball kid. I'm hoping to bring in more basketball, soccer. So we're not just specific to baseball, but that's probably our largest clientele.
As a previous wrestler, I absolutely love this.
Yeah.
Kind of wish I had it or something like it in my area when I was in high school.
Cool.
So I mean, I would, I guess, suggest maybe looking into like wrestling clubs.
Okay.
Because the wrestling clubs will love this.
Okay.
I promise you.
All right. Cool.
Because I mean, granted, yes, the wrestlers. Some wrestlers will want to bulk up. Other wrestlers will want to just be able to stay lean and stay at weight.
Right.
So, and this would be a great idea for them. So just.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, ma'am.
Well, first, thanks for coming all the way from
Florence. Yeah, thank you.
And I'll apologize on behalf of the group. This is a third of what we normally have here.
Oh.
But you mentioned you're scouting for other locations, and then another part of your presentation you mentioned nationwide. So, are you looking just to open new facilities, or is there a part of what you can do with technology today that you can do remotely, or what are your plans there?
So right now, as far as the nationwide thing goes, we can, like I have a couple clients I work with remotely. From a personal standpoint, like this guy's brother is a petroleum engineer in Saudi Arabia. So he goes to Saudi for like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and then he comes home and trains with me. So while he's gone, I'll correspond with him online, and you know I can send him videos, send him his workouts, things, send him nutrition coaching, all that stuff. So basically, we can take what I'm already doing with one guy or two people actually, and then say, well, why can't we do that with the police department that's across the country? So if there's interest, we could go to that location, teach them everything that we're going to teach them in 1 or 2 days, and then send them workouts, and then they can correspond with us and say, hey, can you look at my technique on this squat? Can you look at my technique on this deadlift or whatever? So that's kind of the nationwide aspect. Then from basically what we did was we looked at Lawrence and we drew a 4-hour radius. So in the past couple months, I've gone up to Iowa City, St. Joe's here, and then Columbia is coming up in December. What's the other one? Jefferson City. So basically, what's conceivable for us to travel to if something were to go wrong, and then get back by the end of the day, ideally. But that's part of what we're looking at as far as local for us, because like overall the overhead is incredibly low because we already have in storage we have enough equipment to outfit another facility. So there's 4 coaches, so one coach could potentially go run the other facility until we find another coach to take over. But
So you just would, like if someone hired you here
Right.
for now, you would just come here and use a local gym or equipment they have in their home, or how? What
we would probably, really the only thing we would need is like, this is kind of like an industrial spot, and this is 1,600 square feet. So, 1,600 square feet is probably our minimum that we need, but we already have all the equipment. We could bring the equipment. We have the lease. We have enough money saved up where we could do a lease, and then it's just a matter of logistics of getting a coach here and making it manageable. But yes.
So I thought early in your presentation you said that you coach them physically and mentally.
Yes.
First, that's true. And what, talk a little bit about mentally what you want to do, what qualifies you to do so.
Sure. Well, my wife's an addictions counselor, so I probably overstepped my bounds a little bit by saying like, I'm not diagnosing anyone from or saying I'm a mental coach, but just like basic characteristics of things like, hey, show up early. You're gonna have to persevere when you don't feel good. You're gonna have to work hard when you don't feel like it. Just basic like mental toughness, if you will, of come in, be a teammate, like pick others up. Just basic skills that you'll learn by being on a team. Because one thing that makes us different is we limit our class sizes to 12 athletes per session. So it's not just a huge like cluster of athletes all at once. So, there's 3 or 4 coaches to 12 athletes. And we want them to like, hey, you're part of a group, you're gonna have to help each other, push each other, learn all those characteristics that are part of the team. So that's what I mean when I say mental toughness or mental aspect of it. Because I think a lot of people just see a weight room as like, just big dumb guys go pick up heavy weight, but it's much more than that. There's deeper things going on there. Like you're learning how to persevere and push.
Travis, I'll have the last question. I really appreciate your time up here today. What can we, as a community, do for you to help you in your business?
Honestly, it would just be social media. Like if you guys can go on, give us a like or a follow on social media, Evolution Athletics, and then the number 1 on Facebook, Instagram. Come up, introduce yourself, say hi. I mean, that's about it. Like I'm not really looking for anything from anybody. It's just that's all. So.
Some social media exposure.
Yeah, just some attention.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. Let's give Travis a round of applause.